In this video, I'm focusing on the supply side of the market, looking at unusual supply curves that could be asked in the exam. Just a reminder, you can listen to AI-generated conversations as well as see other videos on the Leaving Cert specification on Canonomics on Spotify. If you're a fifth-year student, follow this channel and Canonomics on Spotify to see new content over the summer and next year. To start with, let's just remind ourselves of the law of supply. This states that as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity supplied of that good or service will increase. And as the price of a good or service decreases, the quantity supplied of that good or service will also decrease. This means that the supply curve of goods and services, which shows how much of a good or service is supplied at different prices, slopes up from left to right. Here we can see that as the price increases from P1 to P2, the quantity supplied increases from Q1 to Q2, or vice versa. If price drops from P2 to P1, quantity supplied will drop from Q2 to Q1. This is the first unusual supply curve. It's where there is fixed capacity. Now, this was asked in both 2023 and 2024, so I'd be very surprised to see it again in 2025, but just in case, here it is. In 2023, it was based around the Rugby World Cup in France, and in 2024, it was on the Harry Styles concert in Slane. Let's use the Harry Styles concert to explain this supply curve. Slane has a fixed capacity of 80,000 people, so regardless of price, there are 80,000 tickets for sale. Whether the price is P1 or P2, that capacity remains the same. The second unusual supply curve hasn't come up yet on the exam. This is where a supplier has maximum capacity, which they can't increase supply beyond. Students often mix this up with the previous fixed capacity supply curve, so make a note to look for the key term maximum capacity for this supply curve. Imagine a factory that's producing for 8 hours a day at a price of P1. Q1 is supplied. If the price rose to P2, the factory might be able to operate around the clock with 3 8-hour shifts every day to produce Qmax. If the price increased to P3, the factory can't respond as it's already operating 24/7. There are no more hours in the day or days in the week. It can't produce any more than Qmax. It's at its maximum capacity. To illustrate this, let's use the fire at Heathrow Airport in the UK a few months ago. When Heathrow was closed, planes had to land somewhere. Why did some come to Shannon or to Dublin? The reason is simple. Initially, planes were diverted to other UK airports. But an airport has a maximum capacity. It can only handle a certain number of flights an hour or a day. And for bid jets, there's only really one option in the UK apart from Heathrow. That's Gatwick. But Gatwick is already operating at near capacity. So while it was able to take a few flights, regardless of how much money it was offered, it couldn't take any more. Shannon benefited from this, as did other major airports around Europe that operate below capacity. They were able to take additional flights. So if this is the supply curve for Gatwick Airport, it could take more flights up to Qmax. After that, it couldn't take any more. So regardless of how much money it was offered, it reached its maximum capacity. The last supply curve is supply when there's a minimum price. This diagram is a little bit different as I'm going to use minimum wage to illustrate it. So instead of price on my vertical axis, I have wages, and I'm labeling my supply curve SL, the supply of labour. Below 1350, no labour is supplied, as the legal minimum wage is set at this point. Why would anyone supply their labour for less when that is set by the government as the minimum any employer can pay an hour? Here the supply curve is horizontal for a time. At the minimum wage, the supply of labour is anything up to Q2. If demand for labour in the economy is greater than that, say Q3, then employers need to offer a wage of W1 to attract the necessary amount of labour they need supplied. So to sum up, the normal supply curve slopes up from left to right. When there is fixed capacity, the supply curve is vertical. When a supplier has maximum capacity they can supply, the supply curve starts by sloping up from left to right and then goes vertical when they reach that capacity. When there's a minimum price, the supply curve starts horizontal and then slopes up from left to right. If there's anything else you'd like to see before the economics exam, leave me a comment here or on Spotify and I'll see if I can help you out.